Yeah, it was.
All right, should we get started?
At JB Motorsports, I don't have a link as this was set up using an OBS using a program. I wanted a link because I could listen to what they're saying. Can't find it anywhere. That is not commentary or coverage of the session bar timings.
Yeah, I've just got the top 3.
Yeah, there's no. I don't think they do broadcast it.
They broadcast it like MotoGP. They broadcast it on their website, but you have to pay like €200 for the pass.
Oh, okay. He seems to be doing too much Ferrari, especially with the Shell sponsor and the red and the yellow.
Yeah.
Do your own thing. But
good form with their victory over Ferrari in Imola. And I've written, so it would be naive to discount Ferrari from the running for a victory in Spa. It would indeed. However. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Ahead at the Apex. Tim didn't interrupt me this time, so that's great.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody. Oh, man, I was editing that the other day, and I was like, this was so annoying.
What? Me?
Last recording, when I was trying to do the intro, and you kept interrupting me.
Yeah, that was funny.
Hello, everybody. How are we doing, Tim?
Good. Yeah, good to be back. It's good to be back with, obviously, F1 came back last weekend.
Yeah.
Long-awaited return, thanks to the kind of Middle East delay.
MotoGP was back the week before.
Yeah, GP was on.
And has now gapped and is back again this weekend.
Yeah.
And WEC is back.
WEC is finally back.
Right now.
Yeah, we're recording mid-practice. We were just joking how the break between the WEC races is just so long that you might as well build a car yourself in the gap between the two and go out there. But yes, it feels, May really is I always like to think of it as the start of the middle of the season.
It's the European season,
It
right?
starts to kind of, it feels like all of the championships start to really establish themselves.
Yeah.
And it's gone are the jitters of new season, new regulations. Everyone kind of knows really what's happening in all the different sports. And as a result, we can really start getting into the nitty gritty of, okay, how is this year going to shake out?
Yes, it's interesting that you put it that way from what we're going to talk about in this recording, but that they will hear next week.
Yes.
No spoilers coming for next week, but we may have a Formula One world champion already.
We can start making the claims now. Yeah, is my point.
So for clarification on time and date, I guess because some of the stuff we're going to talk about now is coming out next week, which will then be after the race that's happening right now, which is Spa, 6 hours of Spa. So it is Thursday afternoon.
Yeah, Thursday the 7th.
So anything that we say now, that's how much knowledge we have.
Yeah, and when we're right,
holy hell,
you're welcome.
You will hear about it on our Instagram and TikTok account. That's for sure. This might be the first podcast that you and I have done this year.
I was going to say, it feels like we've had lots of guests, which has been great. And I think it's always important to have other views and different perspectives. But yeah, it feels like it's been a long time since we've had an intimate room.
Okay, are you ready for some WEC?
I'm always ready for some WEC.
I actually owe the listeners an apology.
Of course you do. What did you do this time?
So in the last time we mentioned WEC, which I think was 3 weeks ago, I mentioned that McLaren were running Garage 59. That is complete nonsense.
woke nonsense.
Garage 59 are the team. They are in a very well-established British racing team.
Yep.
And they happen to have been running McLarens this year. It's the other way around.
Okay.
Just wanted to clear that up.
Don't want to be
the hate
giving
mail.
any.
Thankfully, that reel hasn't gone out to Instagram yet, so our comment section hasn't exploded. So if you were going to make a comment, don't worry.
It's okay.
I have addressed it.
We've taken it back.
We have taken it back. We mentioned, I was going to do some stories from Imola, but we pretty much covered the main stories from Imola. It was the opening race, not a huge amount to talk about. So I wondered if you wanted to go and give me your opinion on your WEC liveries.
Oh.
Now, we haven't got time to go through every single team and do WEC liveries review, and a lot of them are the same as last year, but I wondered if you wanted to pick a top 3, and they can be from Hypercar or LMGT3, and I will run you through mine. Okay. First of all, so I don't know if you've got the, what's it called? The WEC grid page open.
Yeah, I do.
So that's what I went. So my first one is the Bend Manthe Porsche, which is an LMGT3 car. And the reason I like this one is it's got a very nice base color. So it's like a gray.
Yeah, with the lightning bolts.
With the lightning bolt, but like in the German flag theme to match the team. I thought that was quite, it's not necessarily like stand out. You're not going to see it in the rain, but you know, it's not block colors and it's not the same as last year. That was my thought. Yeah. In second for me is the TF Sport Corvette, which, you know, you and I both like.
The Corvette is so badass.
So specifically, I mean, I like the red one too, don't get me wrong, but specifically the yellow one because it stands out on the grid and it looks a lot like a Transformer.
It does look a lot like a Transformer.
And finally, and specifically, the Genesis Magma hypercar, but the number 17 car, the silvery blue one. Like that a lot. Like the shark fin, like that there's a red highlight on there, like that it's quite clean. I was going to pick the Ferrari because I like Ferrari, but actually that livery looked really cool on the F1 car, and I liked how they matched it to the F1 car, but that was in 2023, and that livery has been on the Ferrari WEC car since 2023, and I'm kind of over it.
One of the things that I notice, I always think about during WEC is a lot of the grid is yellow.
Yeah.
Far more than really anywhere else. I really like the yellow Ferrari, the 83 this year.
Yeah.
And last year. I don't know why I said this year. But I think that looks badass. I think the way that they do the red into it is complementary rather than being, you know, trying to be like, oh, no, but
don't forget we're Ferrari.
Yeah. So I really like the 83. In my opinion, underrated livery is the Lexus LMGT3 car.
Oh, baby, yeah. I agree with you.
And they've updated it a little bit this year, and they've gone with kind of a cobalt blue, like a deep
it's a lot less
gray
red, isn't it?
blue.
It's nice.
Oh, man, it's so sweet. And it kind of reminds me of a lint because obviously the front and the back are both red. It's like a reverse lint.
Yeah, nice.
Which I think is so funny. But I think they both look incredible. Also, I just think Lexus are generally stunning cars.
It's also not a kind of car you would expect to be in sports car racing.
No, it's sort
like
of too luxury.
Right?
Yeah. But I think it still looks fantastic. And then the other one, again, not to look like a bit of a sucker for the hypercar, but I love the Cadillac Gold.
Oh, the Jota.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I like the gold. I like the way that plays in. I still think they should have gone that way in F1.
Yeah.
With the kind of gray, the light gray that fades into the charcoal with then the gold, I think complements so well. And red also works brilliantly. And I don't...
Yeah.
If you were to say to me, light gray, dark gray, gold, red, you'd go, what are you on about?
But that looks nice.
But it looks fantastic. And I think really on track, it looks even better.
Yes. From the front, it looks even better. Like from the sort of typical sort of either tower static camera or the helicopter cam, I think it looks really good too.
So I think those would be my 3. Honorable mention, Alpine.
You think?
I like the Alpine. I like the blue. I like that it's not
deep blue.
I like that it's lighter.
Yeah.
And
there's no pink.
There's no pink, thank God. And my least favorite, again, hypercar focused, I think is the Peugeot.
Really? I quite like
Why
the Peugeot.
is it a zebra? Why is it a zebra? It looks dumb.
Yeah, but at least it's not green like it was last year, fluorescent green. I didn't really do a least favorite. A special mention Toyota. Whoa. Nice. But my least favorite, I guess, is the BMW, actually.
Oh,
To be honest, the red BMW Team WRT, the number 32, I think it's just trying to be Porsche. Sorry.
Yeah. I like the decals. I think there's depth in it because the decals.
Yeah.
I do like their hypercar, the 15 especially.
Oh yeah, nice. Yeah.
It's great.
In M Sport colors, right?
Yeah. The 20 seems to be doing too much Ferrari, especially with the Shell sponsor and the red and the yellow.
Yeah.
Do your own thing. But I kind of like the blue.
Wow.
I like the blue with the red. I think it differentiates it enough from the Alpines because they have a very similar blue.
Mm-hmm.
But I prefer the Alpine one. I like the fact that it's continuous, whereas the BMWs are quite blocky. It looks kind of Minecrafty.
Sure.
Which normally I'm very pro, but
just a bit of a segue while we're talking Cadillac. Were they running a special livery in Miami? It looked like there was like stars and stripes on the side.
There was a lot. There normally is.
But I couldn't remember whether that was their normal livery or whether they've changed it or because it was two-tone and I can only remember seeing it from like half of one side. Just thought it would be interesting.
Yeah. Cadillac did have their first ever F1 race on home soil. So they had a special livery with a patriotic twist with a Stars and Stripes theme with 50 stars on the front wing. And the rear wing had a pop of color which spelled out USA. USA, USA.
I honestly think it looked better than the main livery. They probably just keep it. Like if you're going to be the American team, because Haas are just not the American team anymore, then be the American team. That's fine.
The All-American.
It's like, what did I pick? My favorite Porsche, which is a German team, is the one with the German flag on it. Like just own it.
Yeah, commit.
Just own it, right?
Oh, I like the stars are cool.
Yeah, right?
I'm just watching the video that they put out on their Instagram again.
Have you figured out now how Instagram works? Proud of you.
I mean, it's not massively different to the normal one.
It's not, but if you're going to be
but it's
the
kind of
American
subtle.
team,
It's kind of cool.
Just own it, man. Like, just be the American team on the grid. That's fine.
All
There's nothing wrong with that.
I didn't like the yellow on the Racing Bulls.
I thought it looked like somebody wearing a high-vis jacket incorrectly.
I thought it looked like someone peed on it.
Okay. Let's move it on to Belgium.
And then why did DJ Khaled do the unveiling of the V-Cup?
DJ Khaled. Let's not move it on to Belgium. Just a second about DJ Khaled.
I stand by he doesn't actually exist. I don't think he's real.
Like I saw the reveal video that they did in two parts where one of them was like DJ Khaled and it was like here's the car and it was undercover and the cover was yellow, so it was obviously going to be yellow, but then he never actually took the cover off. And then there was another one where he took the cover off, but he didn't take the cover off. It panned to a video of somebody doing a jump over it, like with the plane when the plane did the Red Bull, but it was a different one. And then it was like, oh, here's the car, DJ Khaled. Like that's just weird. I'm here with Red Bull, and then I was waiting for you outside your flat to watch the Miami Grand Prix, and I was watching Martin Brundle's grid walk, which was phenomenal, by the way. Like Colin Farrell, great. Patrick Dempsey, great.
And I love seeing celebrities on the grid walk that actually give a crap and are not there performatively. Like Patrick Dempsey was in the Ferrari film because he liked motorsport.
Correct.
He had the worst Italian accent that I've ever seen in my life or heard in my life. But, you know, you basically paid his way in because he was like, I really want to be in this film because I really like motorsport, which I think is great. And he clearly knows a lot. Clearly he's really committed. It's like, who's the other guy? This is going to annoy me.
Yeah.
Stoll.
But DJ Khaled was live streaming Martin Brundle interviewing him and being like, I'm here with Red Bull. These are my fans. Blah, blah. I'm convinced the dude does not exist unless he's live.
Michael Douglas.
Yeah, okay, sure. Okay, so right now, as of 15:55, Alpine are topping the charts. My friend.
They are.
And
Double 1 and 2.
1 and 2 with BMW in third, and in LMGT3 it's Aston from Corvette from Mercedes. So that's pretty dope.
It's very different.
I was about to read off a bunch of predictions, like Toyota are going to top it. It's going to be Toyota versus Ferrari. Like McLaren are obviously going to be the ones to watch in LMGT3, and I'm glad that I looked at this before I said those things because
we've got
I
two
know it's just
Alpines,
practice. I know it's
two
just practice.
Alpines, both BMWs.
Oh, I can only see the top three. I don't know where
I've got all of them. So you got two Alpines, BMW, Aston,
Yep.
BMW, Ferrari, Aston. So that's the top 8. So you've got both Astons, both BMWs, and both Alpines in the top 8.
Are we in free practice 1 or 2?
2.
2, okay, because Ferrari did top free practice 1.
Free
From
practice
Aston.
2.
Holy hell.
Yep. And then
from
Cadillac 9, second Ferrari 9.
And Toyota are at the back. Holy hell. Okay, anyway, look. It's the 5th anniversary of Hypercar this weekend. Since they joined. And I was about to say Toyota obviously on really good form with their victory over Ferrari in Imola. I've written, so it would be naive to discount Ferrari from the running for a victory in Spa. It would indeed. However,
they are currently out of the running.
Alpine were right there behind them as well in Imola. So obviously they're on good form too. And Bop is a little bit up in arms at the minute because they've hidden the Bop table from teams. So nobody
where's
knows
it gone?
And we're only this is the second race in. So I guess Bop is a little bit less balanced at the moment. So Alpine,
it's more like of performance.
If Alpine had a bad end of last season, their Bop,
which they did,
initial Bop would have been bad at the start of this season. So maybe they're taking advantage.
Yeah,
I think Toyota are definitely taking advantage as well at the moment. And obviously Alpine won't have got a success check mark against their name because they finished 4th in Imola, so they didn't win, they didn't podium. I mean, this is exciting. You have to think that Ferrari won last year, so they've got form at Belgium. They're not necessarily off form just because they lost in Imola, but
they also had a disrupted race
in Imola.
Yeah,
did they?
A little bit. No.
Disrupted by Kamui Kobayashi.
Yeah. Yes. I didn't say by who.
And waiting for the rain. Well, I thought you were like, there was like a red flag or something, but
no. Nothing dramatic. They just didn't run a perfect race.
Just Toyota played some games.
Some very, very effective games.
Very effective games, and I'm all for that. Alpine debuted their Evo Joker in Imola, which I had to look up what that meant. I saw that as a fact and was like, "Ooh, what does that mean?" Turns out that is their major performance upgrade. So each team is allowed 5 Jokers per season,
which is funny because there's basically 6 races.
Yeah.
So you can just bring upgrades whenever you want,
and they are performance only upgrades. So they are allowed to obviously make safety and reliability upgrades, things like updating the gearbox casing, updating the seatbelt harnesses, whatever that might be. And typically the performance upgrades have to be something that's visible. So this is much like the FIA do with Formula 1 now, where they have to parade the cars out on a Thursday and show the upgrades and give the FIA a list of things that have changed. But they don't have to tell them things like, we changed the air intake to 3 mil or whatever that is. They have to be like, we changed that wing. You can see it's different. There's the wing. So it's obvious things. Teams may apply for more Jokers if they are significantly underperforming. So like if they are 10 seconds a lap off the pace, they might need some help. You know what I mean?
Please.
Because at that point you're dangerous.
Yeah, please give me another Joker.
That's all I really had on that. As for the rest, I mean, BMW obviously want to watch, clearly. We mentioned Cadillac. Tim doesn't like the Peugeot, but they were also strong. So
I don't like the look of the Peugeot.
I think they're the next 3 teams. So I think probably this weekend we're looking at Ferrari, Toyota, and Alpine.
Yeah.
And then BMW, Cadillac, Peugeot.
Yeah.
But it's Spa. It could rain.
It will rain.
It could rain right now. And then not again for the entire weekend. No IMSA this weekend. So that usually is a clash, particularly for teams like Peugeot and Ferrari and Aston Martin, who have drivers who compete in IMSA. So a lot of teams are at their peak this weekend, apart from Aston Martin, who are continuing to run their 2 drivers from WEC and not bother bringing over any drivers from their IMSA teams, who are driving the same car. So good for you, Aston Martin. Right, quick mention of McLaren, who we don't talk about enough on this podcast, I think.
No, we haven't spoken about them for a while.
We spent all of last year speaking about them, and we spent a lot of the first half of this season speaking about them, but I think we could get more of them in our lives.
We never have enough.
Specifically, Zach Brown.
Orlando!
So, McLaren are posed to join Hypercar next year.
Yep, exciting.
Which is exciting because also I believe Ford are poised to join Hypercar.
It's
either
again,
next year or 28.
It just shows invest in WEC stock now.
Yeah, get in now.
Get in now because
Secure
it's going to blow
pass.
up. Yeah, exactly.
So ahead of their debut, which I think is super cool, by the way, like this is A, allowed, and B, like we should be doing more of this. They are competing in Le Mans this year. Their car ready for next year because it's ready. Well,
ish.
It's ready to
ready
run.
enough.
It's ready enough. So it's called the MCL HY. I wonder how they came up with that name. And they hit the track this week, start of this week, which is the first time that McLaren will be at Le Mans since 1995 when they won it.
Yeah. What a comeback.
Do you want to read the drivers' names? Because I think particularly...
They have some fantastic drivers. So, Mikkel Jensen.
Who competed last year, but decided... competed in 24, but took last year out to do this.
Yeah, to come back with the team. And then you've got Gregor Saucy.
Love it.
What a name. I mean, if there was anyone that was born to be a showgirl... Gregor Saucy.
So he competed for McLaren in LMGT3 last year at a few races. He is one of their test drivers and he's got a full-time race seat for Hypercar next year.
Brilliant.
So that's awesome. They were very positive. It's an LMDH Hypercar, so that means they will also be able to compete in IMSA and compete at things like 24 Hours of Sebring and Daytona and all those things. So they might even go for the, what is it called? The Lone Star Crown or something? Whatever the American version of the Triple Crown is.
Yeah.
Jensen said, it really was an honor to be the first person to drive the MCL HY.
The McCullough.
When I made the choice to sit this season out of FIA WEC and join McLaren Racing at the very beginning of its return to the top level of sports car racing, it was so that I could be part of the moments like this. I am leaving Italy very happy with my choices.
Ooh.
What was the big?
When it describes it as the pinnacle of
sports car
racing, which it is.
I think LMGT3 is in WEC.
Yeah,
but I wouldn't
Hypercar. I would not call that a sports car.
No,
I'd call that a bullet bill.
It's a prototype.
Yeah,
it is just a prototype.
It's barely a car. And actually, it's a rocket ship.
McLaren are making a track version of this car, so this car is indeed a prototype.
Yeah,
for the track car.
Yeah,
which would then be the pinnacle of sports car racing, right? Like things like the LaFerrari that are based on.
Yeah, this stuff. The P1 and the P1 was based off the F1 stuff.
Yeah. Saucy said over 12 months ago.
The Senna was pretty influenced by
that
kind of stuff.
But that's also McLaren. And
that's such a badass car.
It is a badass car.
Oh my God.
Saucy said over 12 months ago we set an ambitious target to roll out our WEC hypercar on the 4th of May. To stand trackside on that exact day and watch the MCL HY leave the garage was a very proud moment for everyone involved. Our newly formed team not only arrived on schedule, but exceptionally well prepared with a car ready to execute its program. Oh yeah.
Execute its program is the most media prepped thing ever.
While it is early in our journey, with lots still to do to the level we want, achieving the milestone means we have started to create a very solid foundation upon which we can build our momentum for the 2026 test plan.
Guess what the car looks like?
I know what the car looks like.
It's just papaya.
It's just all orange.
Oh, yeah.
But then the prototype looks like a silver thing with papaya highlights. It looks like an old school Kimi Räikkönen McLaren.
Yeah, it does. It does.
It does.
F1, IndyCar, and WEC. So they now have, and you can tell this has been his mission for a long time.
Yeah, because he's been trying to get Alonso to take the Triple Crown for like 10 years.
This means McLaren, its partners, customers, and fans can challenge for the Triple Crown, Monaco, Indy 500, and Le Mans together. A unique cross-series story that sets us apart.
Which I guess technically they could do this year and not bother with WEC next year. In principle, they could do that.
They could.
I mean, I know we've said Ferrari are probably going to win the Monaco GP this year, but in principle, they will be competing in both the Indy 500 and the Monaco Grand Prix this year.
Which is nuts.
Do you think Fernando will turn up
to
Monaco?
I mean...
Or do you think he'll do this?
I think if McLaren gave him the seat, he probably would just say, look... What is the point in me driving around in plum last?
Yeah.
Because by then I think Cadillac would have probably taken over the penultimate 2 spaces on the grid. Yeah. But yeah, it's cool. I mean, it is cool. It's a bit gross, but it is cool to kind of have this presence in all of the series at the same time.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But then again, you can't really criticize them because they're the reigning constructors and drivers champion in F1. They had a good running in.
They did have a good
Indy last year.
Yeah.
I'm excited for Indy again. I was thinking about this the other day. I'm excited for it.
Should we get snacks? Motorbikes. Now I know that you're.
Gosh, this is really an ADHD attack episode from us, isn't it?
I know that your interest here is a little bit diminished compared to WEC, but I will explain what happened in the race to you, and that's kind of not important.
And I'll make some reactive noises.
Because what's more important is what happened and how it happened and like the principle of it, right? Which is just racing principle.
I always like principle.
So I think you'll be able to follow it.
Like being judgmental.
Free practice is just refreshed or finished. Anyway,
yes,
we're talking about bikes. So MotoGP was in Jerez a couple of weeks ago, and it was the sprint that I want to talk about specifically. It was a flag-to-flag sprint, which means there's a rain change, a weather change in the middle of the race, and the white flag comes out, and riders are allowed to change bikes from, in this case, dry to wet.
Mm-hmm.
As far as I can find out, this is the first flag-to-flag sprint that they've had ever. And now, okay, they've only been doing sprint races since 2023, but that's still nearly 4 seasons worth of sprint races that this hasn't happened at, right? Okay, the race started dry, heavy rain after about 2 or 3 laps, and worse track conditions sort of halfway through the 12-lap race. So absolutely insane. Marc was on pole and was leading ahead of Zarco, who we know is good in the rain, so great. Both Aprilias nowhere to be seen, and one had a brake failure. Martin had a brake failure into turn 1, so that took him out. Then the clouds opened up, and all hell broke loose. I mean, seriously, there was riders who pitted too early to change bikes, like as soon as the white flag came out. There were riders who chose not to pit at all, altogether, who just tried to ride around like perfectly vertical like, on a hugely wet track. I mean, if you can find the highlights, please do. And go give it a watch because absolutely insane. Basically, Binder took the first bait and he pitted for his wet bike, and as he was coming into the pits, the camera panned round and Marc was on the floor at the last corner. Not a great look. What's interesting is in this year's regulations, if a rider comes off his bike and the bike stalls, he must go behind a safety barrier to restart said bike, if said bike is possible to be restarted.
Yeah.
In this instance, he didn't need it. He picked the bike back up and waited on the outside of the track. Now, it's a left-handed corner. It's sort of a probably about 110-degree corner. So he crashed on the outside of the corner, and the pit lane entrance is on the inside of the corner, and the pit lane entrance begins slightly before the corner, just about in the braking zone, and then there's a gap between the pit lane and the track where there's some grass, and then there's a barrier.
Yeah.
Okay? You with me so far?
I am.
So Marc waits, gets back up on the bike and waits for everybody to go through, and then jumps across the grass straight into the pit lane, changes to the wet bike. This turns out to be an absolutely immense move because he literally follows Binder into the pit lane. Binder is the first onto the wet bike, and then he comes out just behind Binder and Bagnaia, who are leading the race. Binder then falls. Bagnaia, we know, can't compete with Marc at the moment. So basically what happens is Marc gets Bagnaia, Binder is nowhere to be seen. Ducati 1-2, Marc wins the race. Morbidelli, who just happened to play an absolute strategy blinder, finishes third. So that's what happened in the top three. And Marc took the win. RIP Aldeguer, who just didn't pit, so good for him. Some felt after the race that Marc Marquez deserved a penalty because he essentially cut the corner, right? Coming into the pit lane and gained an advantage. Because without that, he would have had to do a whole nother lap, the same as Alex, who then fell on that next lap on dry tires on a wet track.
Yeah.
Martin and Quartararo, however, didn't. They both said, I think he did what he felt was right, and I would have done the same. But some teams and sort of, what's the right way to describe it, sort of steward lobbyists in certain teams asked the stewards to look at this rule and decide whether or not that should be a penalty. What's your initial impression of that, and do you think that would have been a penalty or should have been a penalty? Do you need to see the corner?
I think the corner would be helpful, but also I think we've seen so often in all of these racing series that more and more often are we becoming lenient to changing all wet conditions.
More and more lenient?
Yeah. As in, I think if something happened when it was wet,
yeah,
everyone kind of goes, guys, it was wet. It was wet, so it's fine. So I don't want to fall into that trap because I think that that's annoying and not good. So
let me try and convince you. So he wasn't given a penalty. The race victory, the sprint victory stands.
Okay.
So I mentioned about falling off and stalling bikes. So the bike didn't stall. So he didn't break that rule.
So he was able to just jump back on and go.
He was able to jump back on and go. He didn't jump back on and go. He waited for everybody to go through.
Okay. So
he didn't re-enter unsafely.
So that was goodwill.
Yep. There exists no rule in MotoGP about the pit lane. And in fact, apart from unless the race director says so in F1, there exists no rule about when you're allowed to come into the pits, right? It's not like leaving the pits where you can't cross the white line.
Yep.
That exists in both categories. Coming into the pits, there's usually a bollard, and the race director usually says, you need to
commit before the bollard.
You need to commit before the bollard. But in MotoGP, that doesn't exist. You can dive into the pits whenever you want.
Yeah.
Now, Marc could have argued, he didn't, but he could have argued that the bike was in an unsafe condition to continue. And the pit lane was right there. So he just took it. But he didn't go backwards at any point, right? He went diagonally across forwards on the track into the pit lane, just past the barrier and into the pit lane, just because of where he fell. So to me, that's 4 for 4 that he's done the right thing.
Yeah.
Now, it is a bit cheeky to jump across the grass into an active pit lane. I get that. But he didn't break the speed limit either, so 5 for 5.
Yeah, I think, are we falling into the trap that he's done something abnormal, and we've then gone, okay, but that's not allowed.
Are we falling into the trap of he's done something abnormal and won the race?
Yes, true.
He's crashed and yet somehow won the race.
Yeah. So is this the turning point? But for example, I remember this happening in F1 in 23 when Max obviously had his amazing season, and then coming into 24, suddenly everyone's like, oh, despite celebrating how fantastic he was, like the year before, it was a bit like, okay, we are now going to find you a bit more annoying because of that. So I think when we lay it out in that way, and if we take it from the letter of the law, we're fine.
We're fine. We're looking at it, and I can remember actually talking about his antics at Silverstone, which is a hard written rule actually. That you remember he fell at Silverstone on lap 1 or 2. And then because there was a red flag, because so many riders
jumped
had
back
fallen,
on the bike,
he was allowed to come back in, and the race restarted from the original grid because it hadn't reached the trigger point, and both he and Alex were actually saved by that.
Yeah,
because both of them should have been off. And I can remember us both going, that doesn't feel right.
It doesn't feel right.
That doesn't feel right. But that is a hard written rule, and actually, I think in this instance, I would like to draw attention to Imola 2021 during the F1 peak when Lewis ends up halfway in the barrier, and then there's a red flag and he's allowed to change
his car,
change his front wing and rejoin on the lead lap, and then eventually finishes like second. Very similar, and most of the Lewis fans didn't have a problem with that.
No.
I think it's just because he's won the race, honestly. I think if he finishes third, nobody bats an eyelid. They're like, oh, yeah, that's where he was when he fell down. Well done.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's fine. Good performance.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think that, as we said last time, racing is becoming quite predictable.
Yeah.
And predictable not necessarily in this person's going to win, this person's going to win, whatever, but predictable as in there's an understanding of what's going to happen at the race weekends. And when something like this happens that breaks that mold or breaks that pre-set idea in people's heads, they go, no.
That shouldn't have happened.
That's not allowed.
Yeah.
That's not allowed because it's different.
Yeah.
But this is why we have rules, because you then have a line. But if that line's not been crossed, then you can't penalise him.
I think it's fine. And actually, he only really wins the race because Binder falls off. Aldeguer doesn't pit. Alex falls off. Bagnaia is useless. Like, realistically.
Pecco.
Realistically, that's why he wins the race. Because otherwise, all of those bikes came in before him and beat him. Right?
Yeah.
Like, if Aldeguer and Alex Marquez pit.
So then, are you penalising Marc because
everybody else
people
is
fell?
Yeah.
That feels odd.
That feels wrong.
That feels weird.
Yeah. So actually, I'm with it. It's fine. In my book, it's fine, and it was fine when I watched it, and I thought it was hella exciting.
Yeah, you're like, oh, something different.
Because I'm watching it, and I'm sat there with my eldest, and he's like trying to follow what's going on. He's only 4, and I'm like, oh no, what's going on? Like Marc's on the floor, and he's like, what's going on, Dad? I'm like, the red one's on the floor.
Are you okay?
Like, and he's like, oh no, and I'm like. It's the sweetest thing. And then he comes into the pits and I'm like, right, come on. And he's now locked in, right? He's like
he's
this.
Over
he's
the
like
table.
watching it and he's like, is the red one going to win? And I'm like,
yeah, he will.
Yeah, he will.
Don't worry.
And then the red one wins, and I obviously pick him up and throw him through the ceiling. Yeah. He's like, yeah.
Boom.
Right, I have one more thing to talk about on MotoGP, and then that is all for this week. And it came out literally yesterday or the day before, which was a change to the regulations for next year that impact this year also. So it is a complete ban on wildcard riders for 2027, and included in that is a ban on wildcard riders using 2027 bikes this year.
Okay.
Now, you're a bit of a motorbike noob.
That is totally fair to say.
A statement that I can use.
Yeah.
So let me break down what a wildcard rider is. So this is this is a rider who is not part of your full-time squad. So 2 bikes, 2 riders, that's your entry list.
Yeah.
And these are still called race meetings, right? I know we don't call them that anymore, but they are. And you sign your team up for all of the meetings. And you might, in the past, you might have signed somebody else for Le Mans because you wanted to and you were allowed to, but you're not anymore. You have to sign your 2 drivers, 2 riders, whatever, for the entire calendar. But teams are given a wildcard rider currently based on concessions. So that's how many of the points available in the previous season that you won. So it's 60%, 50%, and 35%. If I've got that right. Oh, sorry, 85, 60, and 35. So A, B, C, and then anything below that is D. And typically teams would pick, so this, when there were fewer races in a season and fewer riders getting experience at tracks and, let's be honest, riders dying. And so you might have a rookie in your team. You might pick somebody who has a better knowledge of the track. So I think the example that gets thrown around a lot is when they used to race at Donington. So Donington was typically in the middle of British summer, which is obviously wet. So you would want a rider who had grown up racing on British circuits in the wet, who knew Donington like the back of their hand, and you'd field them.
Yeah.
And back in the day, they would score you points. These days, they don't score you points. But what they use them for these days, it's typically test riders these days, let's be honest, is they use it as an extra way of collecting race data because they only get 9 days of testing it in a season.
Yeah. Have they made any changes to how testing is done? Or
No.
they just said
no? So teams typically don't use their full concession. So nobody got rank B last year because Ducati scored that many points. So Ducati don't have any. B would get 3 wildcard appearances. So that's the full weekend where you can run a third bike this year. And C and D get 6. Honda and Yamaha typically are the ones who should be using all 6, but they usually use about 3 or 4. So they don't use them all because actually it's far better to have your test rider riding sports bikes that look a lot like your MotoGP bike on European tracks. And then you maybe throw in an engine or some aero and you see how it performs. That's perfectly legal. Take that as you will. Than it is to have them, potentially getting injured in a race. Mm-hmm. Particularly if you're at the back. So why is it test riders? Great question, Tim. Glad you asked. Because there is no junior program in the same way that there is in F1. So Moto2 and Moto3 are their own world championships in their own right. And they come to every single event. They accompany MotoGP. They don't feed MotoGP. So it's not like F2. If you win an F2 title, you are an F2 champion. You're not a world champion. It doesn't count for your tally, right? Mm-hmm. And we see like drivers like Ollie Behrman coming up because they're Ferrari Academy and they're not racing in Saudi, or maybe they are racing in Saudi and they don't want the points because the championship actually doesn't matter if you're a Ferrari Academy driver, apparently. So you would just take the seat. So it's kind of like, right, we'll choose our test rider, but it's actually better if he rides our next year bike, which he can't do anymore. So great. Huge regulation change coming next year. So that's kind of why they're not running their test rider all the time. The big thing though is that actually the FIM are justifying it based on the fact that teams like Ducati will have to build 12 bikes in like 90 days because Valencia's been pushed back because Qatar's been rearranged. And when the test in Buriram is next year. So basically it's time. They've just done it on time. Not clear whether it will come back in 2028 or not. After the first year of a new regulation cycle, They might bring it back. But I don't actually care. What they do need to do is a better replacement rider system. So riders are getting injured a lot more because there's now sprint races, sprint quali. Quali sprint races every weekend. And actually, it would be better if they had some sort of feeder system that, I don't know, maybe allowed Moto2 riders to
I was going to say, just do the sprints. Just make the sprints, make it a sprint championship and as a showcase series and have a wildcard rider come in Yeah.
And just make it
and compete through
separate.
that. Yeah. And a separate championship, which is what they spoke about doing with F1 when they started doing the sprints, but then they never did it. And it's, I think they missed a trick there.
Well, you could alternate, right? You could say, let's take Ducati for an example.
You almost treat it like a pro-am.
One and then Bagnaia out of one.
Treat it like a pro-am.
Yeah.
So you do, you've got basically one week you have an F2 or a GP2 person, and then you have pair that up with someone else. Then you're learning directly, you're comparing, working together as a team. That seems like a much nicer idea.
Yeah.
And who gives a shit about sprints?
Yeah, who really cares?
Right? Like, end of the day.
No,
and
it's true.
I still think sprints are a bad thing because, at least in F1, less in MotoGP, but in F1, it just reorders the race. It just tells you what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's not exciting.
Yeah, less so MotoGP, that tends to be a bit more crazy, and they do tend to push, and they do run different tires. But I agree. I mean, run one bike with your pro rider and one with your Moto2 academy rider or your test rider or whoever you want to put, right? They're struggling to bring riders across from World Superbikes because they're just as busy now, right? And British Superbikes is just as busy, and endurance racing takes precedent as well. I mean, we've seen Zarco do well at endurance racing, so yeah, it's a tricky one. They just need a better way. Like Vinales has been injured for like 6 months, and we wish Maverick a recovery, but like 6 months is a long time for KTM to be like, who are we going to put on the bike?
Yep.
And then their test rider is testing next year's bike so much that he's injured. So great.
Everyone loses.
Everyone loses. It's a lose-lose situation here. So yeah, I mean, it just needs a better system. That's all. FIM, just put a better system in place.
Just fix it.
Just fix it.
Good.
So on that's the end of this week's podcast. Thank you for listening.
You're welcome.
Thank you for joining me, Tim. Just want to say, go and check out the Patreon.
Yep.
And all our socials, which usually by this point in the video appear there over Tim's face.
Like Mike Wazowski.
Because he doesn't watch the videos back, so he doesn't know.
Get dumped on.
So he gets dumped on. So they usually appear there. All of them are just at AAT Apex.
Yep.
Just
nice and easy.
Type that into just about every social media site and you will find us.
Yep. Beautiful.
Just about. Apart from OnlyFans.
Not yet.
Not yet. Right. We'll see you next week.
Peace.
Peace.